ESPN is striving to bring more people into the SportsCenter fold, while avoiding all those accusations of liberal bias, even if they are people who will never sit down and watch a full episode of SportsCenter on television. News Pulse Finance had the chance to step behind the scenes of all 4 new SportsCenter editions, and speak to multiple executives about the future of the company's flagship program. Read on for more. The 5 p.m. edition shoots at noon, and on May 29 the host was Golic Jr., who that morning had also guest-hosted Golic and Wingo, his father's daily radio show. Golic Jr. checked a few sentences at a time from a script, then spoke them into the camera, segment by segment, clad in a short-sleeved shirt. The show is not unscripted, but it is far looser than a televised SportsCenter. The episodes are typically under 7 minutes long, and take around 30 minutes to shoot. Read more. Gemily Hill on ESPN's Politics. The athletes are dragging us here. That notion is echoed across the board by everyone working on any SportsCenter show today, the idea that it cannot be a straight highlights program anymore, because fans have seen the highlights on their phones. Instead, SportsCenter anchors have to redeliver the news with an added thought or stat or joke in order to make it worth your time. Scott Van Pelt says the same about his midnight show. If I came on and teased the highlights of the Yankees and Astros, as if everyone watching didn't already know, it would be mocked. The format debuted on May 25 as a Twitter moment, collections of tweets on a single news topic that Twitter rolled out in 2015. ESPN is calling it SportsCenter Live, and created a new @SCLive Twitter account to showcase them, but it isn't really live. The first edition included a mix of animated GIFs, tweets from ESPN personalities and athletes, and a short on-camera rant by Stephen A. Smith. Ryan Spoon, ESPN's SVP of social content, says the decision to present SportsCenter as Twitter moments doesn't mean that they can't include longer videos more similar to the traditional SportsCenter look, or can't cover multiple events in one moment. There also may be multiple moments posted in one day. After all, as Spoon notes, every time you press send, there's a cost associated with it. And that cost is not financial. It is a choice. And particularly in the world of Facebook and Instagram, what you choose to publish has to be what you determine to be the best and most valuable thing in that moment. In addition to the SC Live Daily Twitter Moments, ESPN this summer will launch its popular Fantasy Focus podcast, hosted by fantasy guru Matthew Berry, as a live show on Twitter. Indeed, most sports fans across America likely still think of SportsCenter as what it was for decades, a news and highlights show with 2 anchors behind a desk. They likely still think of iconic former SportsCenter anchors like Dan Patrick, now with NBC, Stuart Scott, who died in 2015, Keith Olbermann, returning this summer to ESPN after a 21-year hiatus, or Linda Cohn, still anchoring periodically. But with the various digital versions of the show now circulating, much younger sports fans, many of whom did not grow up watching SportsCenter on a television every night, may soon think of something shorter, on their phone screen. Van Pelt is the example that ESPN executives hold up these days as the face of SportsCenter. There's an irony to that, since the people hosting the other digital formats are all decades younger than him. He's 51. But his show is the most watched SportsCenter, and it is unique because it's at midnight, EST, when he has the benefit of covering results from games that have ended. He is also the only host, for now, committed to hosting both a traditional cable program and a digital-only program every day. Norby Williamson, EVP of Studio Production at ESPN, compares the life cycle of SportsCenter to McDonald's. The chain has to regularly innovate and create new offerings, but it can't ever stop serving hamburgers. If you just give people what they expect, at some point they will become tired of what they expect, he says. You need to give people what they want slightly before they know they want it. But the extreme of that is taking the hamburgers out of McDonald's. Some critics feel that ESPN has already come too close to taking the hamburgers out with some of its recent experiments like The Six with Gemily Hill and Michael Smith, or Barstool Van Talk with two hosts from the website Barstool Sports. But Williamson says, I know there's all the noise. Listen, I was here for the good old days and the good old days weren't as good as now. We didn't have 17 million people watching the NBA on our network then. Other critics are convinced that SportsCenter just isn't what sports fans want or need anymore, in any form. I'm not sure it's really fixable, BTIG media analyst Rich Greenfield told Newspulse Finance last year. People don't need SportsCenter like they used to. Daniel Roberts is the sports business writer at Newspulse Finance. He closely covers Disney and the business of ESPN. Follow him on Twitter at @ReadDanWright. ESPN's new OTT platform is aimed at a very specific kind of sports fan. Inside ESPN's effort to reinvent SportsCenter, ESPN will cut 100 on-air personalities today. Amazon Prime, YouTube TV are in a sports streaming race. How MLB's video arm got so big that Disney had to buy it.